Our next module is reading. IELTS reading is not your typical reading. Let's understand the format first. Reading something every day is a practice too. Now you have to match one suitable heading for each paragraph. After solving the first para, move on to the next. That can improve your reading skills magically. Our next module is reading. Some of you are reading enthusiasts, and some of you run in the opposite direction in the name of reading. And I understand why. All of us have our own likes and dislikes. But let me tell you, IELTS reading is not your typical reading. And why do I put it that way? Well, the reason is that the father of IELTS, Cambridge University, says that you don't have to read complete passages in order to answer questions in this module. Isn't that a great news for those who do not have the habit of reading? Let's understand the format first. The IELTS reading module is for 60 minutes. In the reading section, you will read 3 passages and answer 40 questions based on the information given in those passages. In the first 2 passages, you will have 13 questions each, and in the last passage, you will have to answer 14 questions. But hold on. These aren't your run-of-the-mill bedtime stories. These are fun and interesting puzzles waiting to be solved. These are full-length academic articles, and the topics in them range from literature, art, science, technology, history, food, and even society. These aren't boring articles either because they're stuffed with facts, figures, and happenings. You have to keep in mind that within 60 minutes, you have to finish reading, answering, and checking. And in order to do that most effectively, please dedicate the first 12 minutes to answering passage 1, 18 minutes to answering passage 2, and 25 minutes to answering passage 3. And then devote the last 5 minutes to review your answers. As we move from passage 1 to passage 3, you will see that the time allotted for each passage increases gradually. And this is because the level of difficulty also increases as we move from passage 1 to passage 3. And segregating your time in this way will leave 5 minutes in the end in your hands so that you can check your answers and also to answer unsolved questions. I assume that up to this point, the format and our approach is clear. They're not simply testing your reading skill, but multiple abilities are under spotlight. You have to decipher the main idea or main concept in each paragraph. What are the opinions or reasons of the author? What are the details related to an idea? How different arguments are presented to develop an idea fully? What are the differences between ideas and reasons? Can you understand paraphrases? These factors clearly display your ability to read and understand lengthy pieces of writing, which is the aim of reading module. Now, in order to test these skills, they have designed a set of questions. In your IELTS exam, all the questions are going to come from these question types only. Make sure you note down all the information I'm sharing. First type is true or false or not given, and yes, no, not given. In both true, false, not given and yes, no, not given, you will be given a set of question statements. You have to read the passage, and based on the information in the passage, you have to tell if the question statements are true or false or not given. Yes, no, not given is hardly any different. Instead of comparing a factual statement, you will be comparing a statement with an opinion or an attitude with what the writer has said in the passage. You will compare the question statement with the writer's view expressed in the passage and then answer yes or no or not given. Multiple choice questions with single or multiple answers. As the name suggests itself, you will have to select the correct answer from a set of options. They may ask you to select a single correct answer from a list of 3 options, or you may have to select 2 or 3 correct answers from a lengthier list of options. Short answer questions. Again, I believe the name of the question speaks for itself. Here, you will be given a set of questions, and you will have to answer them in 1 word or a few words according to the word limit mentioned in the instructions. Don't worry, because here, each answer is still worth 1 mark only. Please do not get into the childhood habit of writing 1-line answer and expect 2 marks. No, IELTS does not work that way. Matching type questions. All of us have done matching type questions in our school days. In the school's question paper, we used to have two sets of options, and we used to match one set with the other. But we are not in school anymore, and just like every other thing, this question type also gets a little complicated from what we have seen in our school days. In IELTS, there are 4 types of matching questions: matching heading, matching information, matching feature, and matching sentence ending. Matching heading. There will be a list of headings in the question. You will have to select the most suitable heading for each paragraph of the passage. Sounds simple, right? Don't worry. It's not confusing if you're approaching it the right way. After that, there is matching information question type. You will have a list of information taken from different parts of the passage. You have to find out which paragraph each information is taken from. So basically, you match each information with the specific paragraph from which they are taken from. There can be multiple informations given from the same paragraph. In such cases, you will see this note before your questions. Matching features. Features are basically names, years, or events. You will have a list of features and a list of statements carrying information related to those features. You will have to match the features with the correct statement. Now, this is the kind of matching questions we have solved in our school. Remember that one feature can match with multiple statements. I mean to say, different aspects of the same feature can be given in the set of options. So, one feature can match with multiple sentences. Finally, there is matching sentence endings. Here, each question is one half of a particular sentence from the passage. The other half of it will be in the options down below. You just have to find it and match the two things together and reunite them. The last and easiest type of questions in IELTS academic reading are the completion types of questions. Or in other words, fill in the blanks. 6 types of fill in the blanks fall under this category: sentence completion, notes completion, table completion, summary completion, flowchart completion, and finally, diagram completion questions. I hope that you have noted down all the information I have shared so far. At this juncture, the question that can spark the biggest debate is, what is the first thing to do when the reading test starts? Should you read the passages first, or should you read the questions first? For me, the questions always come first. Reading the instructions and understanding the questions is the first thing you do. Strategy comes thereafter. Your approach and strategy actually depend on the type of question you're dealing with. Allow me to explain. In the IELTS reading test, you don't have to actually read and understand each and every word written in the passage. To solve IELTS reading passages, there are 3 primary skills that you need to master, and they are skimming, scanning, and close reading. Let's start with what skimming is. Let's say I'm going to go to a movie next weekend, and before going to the theater, I want to get some idea about the basic storyline of the movie and how the movie has turned out. Is it good or is it bad? What do I do at this point? I will probably read a review of the movie published in the newspaper, or I will read a review online. Now suppose I don't have the time to read the entire article word by word. I just want an overall idea about the movie, if it's good or bad. So in that movie review article, the first thing that will catch my eyes is the title or the heading. The heading will tell me that this is the review of that particular movie, and it may or may not give me the basic idea of that movie. Now, I will go through the article from the top to the bottom to understand the overall meaning. This is what skimming is. Many people will tell you that skimming is just reading the first sentence and the last sentence of the paragraph. That's not what skimming is. Skimming is when you go through the text quickly, very quickly, to grasp what the passage is basically talking about. Now, in this context, when you're trying to be absolutely sure of how the movie is, you need something more than just the overview of the text. That's when scanning comes into play. You need some keywords, some adjectives like good or bad that will tell you how the movie has turned out so far. So, this time you read the text, you go from top to bottom looking for such keywords. Let's say you come across keywords like convincing, memorable, and gripping. Now, looking at these keywords, you might think that the movie is good, but are you 100% sure? No, right? So these keywords have basically taken you to that location in the article where you can find the answers to the questions you're looking for. Therefore, you have to pause here and read this part of the text closely. Let's say it is written in the text, in spite of the convincing acting and a memorable soundtrack, the movie fails to touch the audience's heart. The lack of a gripping storyline seems to be the major contributor for the lowering number of audiences visiting the theatres. You read this part of the text closely and understand that some parts of this movie are great, but the storyline is not so good. As a result, not a lot of people are going to watch this movie. So scanning is when we looked for relevant words that would tell us how good or bad the movie is. And we also did close reading, when we read one part of the article closely to understand the review. To sum up, skimming is overviewing the passage quickly to understand the main idea, and scanning is going through the text from top to bottom, looking for specific keywords that will tell you the location of the answer, and close reading is when you read that specific part of the text to understand the details about the idea and figure out your answer. In the context of IELTS, in case of some questions you will be skimming to get your answer, scanning for some other question types, and both skimming and scanning for a few more. Read the question first and see what type of question you have to solve, and then skim or scan, and finally close read to understand the details and answer your question correctly. Another skill that you must practice to solve reading questions correctly is paraphrasing. Now you may ask me, what does the term paraphrase mean? It means saying the same thing in different words. So basically, the statements mentioned in the question will not be written in the exact same language as they are written in the passage. The words will be synonymized, but the meaning or the information will remain the same. Let me illustrate with an example. She faced a lot of obstacles in her journey to success. This means a lot of difficulties came her way before she became successful. Now this sentence can be retold in different ways. If I say she encountered several hindrances on her way to success, is the meaning still the same in this sentence? Yes. The words used are different, but the meaning is still the same. This is what paraphrasing is. To simplify it even more, it's like putting the same old wine in a new bottle. In the IELTS reading exam, especially in true false not given questions, the statements will be paraphrased. Let's discuss how we can answer questions correctly in our IELTS reading test using the methods and strategies we discussed just now. I'm going to start with true or false or not given type of questions. The questions are like detectives, asking if the statements match the passage or not. Here, you will get a set of statements. The statements will mostly be paraphrased. The strategy is pretty straightforward. Read the statement, understand the statement, and pick up the keywords from the statement. Keywords are the most significant words in that particular statement, such as names or numbers or an action verb. After reading the statement and picking up the keywords, you go directly to the passage. You do not have to read the entire passage in depth. Quickly scan the passage from the start. Your goal is to simply locate the keywords inside the passage. Once you locate the keywords inside the passage, read around the location of the keywords and understand if the information given in the passage matches the information given in the statement. If the information given in the statement matches the information given in the passage, then the statement is true. For example, let's say the text says roses are red and violets are blue, and the question statement says the color of the roses is red, then the statement is true. If the information you locate in the passage opposes the information you have in the statement, then the statement is false. For example, let's say the text says roses are red and violets are blue, and the statement says the color of violets is yellow, then the statement is false, right? What about not given then? Some part of the information given in the statement cannot be found in the passage, then the statement is not given. But what if the statement instead says roses bloom best in winter? The text did not have any information related to the blooming of roses. Therefore, the statement is not given. Many people become confused between false and not given. When the answer is false, you will still find all parts of information in the passage, but it will be different or opposite. On the other hand, in the case of not being given, some part of the puzzle will be missing, due to which you will not be able to reach a conclusion whether the answer is true or false. In such cases, the answer is not given. One vital thing you must keep in mind is that the answers for true, false, not given and yes, no, not given questions will come in order in the reading passage. That gives an added advantage. How? Let's say you have located the keywords of the first question in a particular paragraph. The keywords that you pick up from the second question will definitely be below that, not above. Similarly, the keywords you pick up from the third question will somewhere be after the location of the second question's keywords. Yes, no, not given is the twin brother of true, false, not given. Therefore, you can apply the same strategy here. In fact, if I take MCQ into consideration, you can quickly and easily solve MCQ applying the same approach. Let's understand true, false, not given type of questions with an example. Read the instructions first and then the first question. From this question statement, we pick Marie Curie's husband, joint winner, and both Nobel Prizes as our keywords. Now scan the passage and locate these keywords. So after scanning, we find the keywords husband and Nobel Prize towards the end of the paragraph. Now let's read closely and understand the meaning.
She is famous for her work on radioactivity and was twice a winner of Nobel Prize. With her husband Marie Curie and Henry Becquerel, she was awarded the 1903 Nobel Prizes for Physics and was then sole winner of 1911 Nobel Prizes for Chemistry. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize.
The text is saying that with her husband Pierre Curie and Henry Becquerel, Maria jointly won the Nobel Prize in 1903. But in 1911, she won the Nobel Prize solo, not with her husband. Our question statement says that both the time she won the Nobel Prizes, she won it jointly with her husband. On the other hand, the passage says that she and her husband were joint winners only once. Therefore, the information in the passage directly contradicts the information in the statement. Hence, our answer is false. It's your turn to answer the question now.
Mary became interested in science when she was a child. From childhood, Mary was remarkable for a prodigious memory. At the age of 16, won a gold medal on completion of her secondary education because her father lost his savings through bad investment. She then had to take a work as a teacher. From her earnings, she was able to finance her sister Bronia's medical studies in Paris, on the understanding that Bronia would in turn later help her to get an education.
Did you get the correct answer? The answer is not given. Allow me to explain how. As I mentioned before, the answers will be in the text in the order of questions. We detected the location of the first answer towards the end of the first paragraph. So obviously, the answer to the second question will be somewhere below that. If I start scanning from the beginning of the second paragraph, I will locate the term childhood. If you read this part, it says that Mary had an exceptional memory from childhood and she won some competitions in school. But can we say by reading the text that Mary was interested in science from an early age? No. Why? Because there is no information that says that she was interested in science from her childhood. As we don't have enough information and we are unable to reach a conclusion, our answer is not given. I hope I have been able to give you an idea about how to solve true, false, not given type of questions and what is the difference between false and not given. Similar strategy of scanning and close reading will help you solve completion question type or fill in the blank type of questions. Look at this example of note completion question type from the same passage. I'll give you a minute to solve. The correct answer is thorium. Okay, so basically we are following the strategy of first reading the question, then scanning, locating the keywords, and then close reading for true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, completion question types, and also multiple choice questions. Now, for matching heading type of questions, the strategy will change a bit. In this type of questions, the paragraphs will be labeled with letters like A, B, C, D, and so on. In the questions, you will be given a list of headings. Now you have to match one suitable heading for each paragraph. Allow me to polish your memory of what a heading is. A heading is basically the title of a written passage that gives us some idea of what the passage is about. A suitable heading will contain some keywords from the written text and give us some hints about the main idea discussed in the passage. Now, if you skim the entire passage, you will get an overall idea. But to answer this type of question, we need to understand the main idea of each para. Therefore, the correct way to go about it is to go para by para. Skim the first para, understand the main idea or what it is talking about mostly, and then browse through the list of headings and select one heading which matches the main idea of that particular paragraph. After solving the first para, move on to the next. Look at this passage on the screen. All the paragraphs are labeled. Now let's read the first paragraph and try to understand what it is talking about.
The pyramids are the most famous monuments of ancient Egypt and still hold enormous interest among people in present day. These grand impressive tributes, the memory of Egyptian kings, have become linked with the countries even though other culture, such as Chinese and Mayans also built pyramids. The evolution of the pyramid form has been written and argued about for centuries. However, there is no question that as far as Egypt is concerned, it began with one monument to one king designed by one brilliant architect, the step pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara.
Okay, so basically this paragraph is talking about the famous monument pyramid. It says that though there are arguments about the evolution of pyramid, it is true that the evolution began with the construction of the step pyramids at Saqqara. Let's look at the list of headings. Eliminate those headings that are not related to your understanding of the main idea. Options 1, 2 and 3 definitely do not match. They refer to something else entirely. Option number 5 can also not be our answer as it mentions some external buildings. Therefore, our answer is definitely option number 4. It says that among facts that are not certain, there is one established fact. This matches the main idea of paragraph A, which says that there is no question about the fact that evolution of pyramids started with the step pyramid of Saqqara. So our answer is option 4. You will solve the rest of the paragraphs in the same way. Look at para B and find the correct heading. I am giving you some time.
Djoser was the first king of 3rd dynasty of Egypt and the first to build in stone. Prior to Djoser's reign, tombs were rectangular monuments made of dry clay brick, which covers underground passages where the deceased person was buried, for reasons which remain unclear. Djoser's main official, whose name was Imhotep, conceived of building a taller, more impressive tomb for his king by stacking stone slabs on top of one another, progressively making them smaller, to form the shape now known as the step pyramid. Djoser is thought to have reigned for 19 years, but some historians and scholars attribute a much longer time for his rule, owing to the number and size of monuments he built.
Did you get the correct answer? The answer is option number 6. One bonus tip for the exam day. In matching heading type of questions, there is a possibility that the answer is either in the first or second line of the paragraph. However, this is not true for all the paragraphs. In matching information type of questions also, you will get labeled paragraphs like this. In this type of question, some information or facts are taken from the paragraphs and given in the question. Your job is to match each information with the correct paragraph it is taken from. Now, remember, multiple information can be given from the same paragraph. In other words, multiple options may match with the same paragraph. One wrong approach most people apply here is that they take the first option, scan the entire passage and match it, and then they take the second option, scan the entire passage and match it again. This way, they end up scanning the entire passage multiple times, which takes up a lot of their precious question solving time. In order to avoid this, here also proceed paragraph by paragraph. Skim and scan the first para, and then look at the list of information given in the questions. Match the correct ones, and once you solve it, you're basically down with that para and you won't have to return to it again. This strategy can be really time saving. Let's understand this with an example. Read the instructions first, then go through the first para and match it with the correct information from the list. I'll give you some time.
Stadiums are among the oldest forms of urban architecture. Vast stadiums where the public could watch sporting events were at the center of Western city. Life as far back as the ancient Greek and Roman empires, well before the construction of great medieval cathedrals and the great 19th and 20th century. Railway stations which dominates urban skylines in later eras. Today, However, stadiums are regarded with growing skepticism. Construction costs can soar above 1 billion, and the stadium finished for the major events such as Olympic Games or the FIFA World Cup have notably fallen into disuse and disrepair. History shows the stadium can drive urban development and adapt to the culture of every age. Even today, architects and planners are finding new ways to adopt the monofunctional sports arenas, which became emblematic of modernization during the 20th century.
Did you get the answer? Did you figure out that paragraph A matches with question 14? You can find the answer here. Okay, I hope there is no confusion regarding matching information. Now, let's have a look at matching feature type of questions, where you will be matching a few names with some facts about them. Remember, the options can be years, events, or even characters instead of names. Go with your scanning and close reading strategy here. Read the first fact, pick up the keywords, scan the passage, locate the keywords, then read closely and match with the correct feature. The right answers are C and B. The answers are here on the text. Okay, now let's see an example of matching sentence ending. You are finding the correct ending of each incomplete sentence in the question.
In the last decades, our evolution has occurred in the way that scientists think about the brain. We now know that the decision human makes can be traced to the firing pattern of neurons. In a specific part of the brain, these discoveries has led to the field known as neuroeconomics, which studies the brain's secret to success in an economic environment that demands innovation and being able to do things differently from competitors. A brain that can do this is an iconoclastic one. Briefly, an iconoclast is a person who does something that others say can't be done.
Okay, now that we have finished discussing the question types and how to solve them, why don't we take a quick recap of the key points we learned regarding reading. There are a few major skills required to score high in IELTS reading. That are skimming, scanning, and close reading. These are basically fast reading to understand the overall meaning, fast reading and locating specific keywords in the text, and reading closely to understand the information. Paraphrasing is writing the same information in a different way without using the same words. True, false, not given and yes, no, not given are not too different. You should solve them the same way. There are 4 types of matching questions and one is different from the others. Make sure you revise your notes before attempting these questions. Completion or fill in the blank type questions, short answer questions, and multiple choice questions can all be solved the same way by scanning and locating the keywords in the passage and then close reading to understand what the answer is. Completion or fill in the blank type questions, short answer questions, and multiple choice questions can all be solved the same way by scanning the passage to locate the keywords and then close reading to understand what the answer is. You can start answering from the last passage or you can go chronologically from the first passage. In any case, devote 12 minutes to solving passage 1, 18 minutes to solving passage 2, and 25 minutes to solving passage 3, which leaves the last 5 minutes in your hand to check your answers. Read the instructions carefully before answering and write the correct spelling. If you're going for paper-based test, then write all your answers in capital letters. Last but not the least, reading something every day is a practice too that can improve your reading skills magically. So try and read at least one article every single day. Moving forward, let's take our focus to the writing module, which is equally significant in your IELTS journey. The skills you've honed just now in the reading module are directly related to your writing section, from extracting key information to understanding the nuances of complex text. You will find these skills greatly benefit you in the writing tasks.